Hi, travelers. Tara here, and we are kind of speeding along through November 2018. Thanksgiving will be here soon, as will Black Friday. so, website members, I hope that you guys got the newsletter that I sent out yesterday. I have the transit tutorials on sale. Also, for non members, if you are interested in learning about your chart, how to read it, and how you can kind of see what may be coming down the pike over these next couple of months, the transit tutorial is absolutely the way to go. I wrote that article for you guys about the Sagittarius Mercury cycle. Mercury is going to be retrograding. What's today? The 15th. He's actually approaching his station, and he will be going retrograde at 17 degrees Sagittarius. He will also be crossing back into Scorpio. So this is going to be really, really interesting, I think, astrologically. Because of what Mercury typically rules and what the sign of Sagittarius typically rules. And then for him to cross over the ruler, which is Jupiter, for Mercury to cross over Jupiter as he makes his backward trek into Scorpio. So I think this is going to be particularly for the holiday season, because this is going to go all the way until roughly December 12th. And in effect, you can kind of say that things may not really straighten themselves out clearly until after the new year, for certain, for some of you. And this is a time in which there's going to be shopping, there's going to be credit cards, there's going to be travel, there's going to be friends and family. So this is going to be a really, really, I think, interesting time. Okay. And so, let's see what's happening. I am going to go ahead and start working on the December readings to get ready to post up here in a couple of weeks to the website. And then at some point today, I'm going to, in the bonus gallery, in the wildcard gallery, I'm going to post a reading up there. For those of you who might want to come over to the website, you can do $7 for 30 days. If after 30 days you don't like anything I got to say, you don't have to come back. Then you can do $28 for 6 months access. And then there's the $50 yearly access. If you are interested in a reading or any of my other products that I have, you can simply click on the eye. That'll take you directly over to the website. In terms of readings, my turnaround time is between 24 to 72 hours, depending on what I have going on. But I don't make people wait. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So we're going to be just opening up the cards here. I had a bunch of people contact me back about readings that I've done. I'm so pleased. One of my clients has been struggling with being very worried about finding what she calls gainful employment, and she just snapped a shot of a contract and it's a pretty damn good contract. I kept telling her it's nothing to worry about. So it's always good to see when things kind of go the way the cards say they will. You know, we don't always know when that timing is. And that can be the most difficult part. That's the human level thing. We're going to use the Prisma Tarot, the Prisma Visions Tarot. We will clarify, I think, with the... let me go grab the other set of Sabila cards. Hold on one second. We're just going to grab this other set of Sabilas here, just in case. And then we will pull an angel answer card right after. Now, I pulled out the, what do you call it? The Impressionist Tarot. But then for some reason, the Three of Wands card was calling me from this deck. I clearly kept seeing it. And so I pulled this deck out. And the first card that presented itself is the Queen of Swords. Now, this card typically represents the sign of Libra, but we can say that it's any kind of air sign or air quality, right? Typically, we're going to be looking at perhaps a Gemini, a Libra, and or an Aquarius, or we're going to be looking at someone in which clear thought and perceptions and speech, high intellect, and the ability to tactically and strategically get things done. Okay. What I saw was that some of you, there's been either gossip or definitely out of control speech, and that some of you have had to wrangle that in, and you have done so effectively. You see, she has the beak of that particular bird lassoed up. So I do feel that some of you have been dealing with someone who has, you've been sparring with them, maybe verbally, and or they have been gossiping about you, but you have gotten control over that. I don't know, how that, but you have effectively silenced this particular bird. And I want to say, on the flip side of that, if you have been the one who's been gossiping and creating a whole bunch of shit in the air with your words, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. See that, bird? So I would caution you to, at this particular time, specifically with Mercury going retrograde, to be very cautious how you're either speaking about someone or what thoughts you are putting out into the universe. Because eventually these things come back around. So let's see what well, whomever this female is, the one who's doing the, see those swords on her skirt? At first they just look like designs, but then I noticed those are actually swords, and it's two of them. Okay. And to me, those two swords are speaking to the tactical and strategic nature of this individual. In other words, they're not necessarily, in effect, kind of straightforward with what they're saying or what they're doing. But it represents some kind of duality, choice, and or option. Okay, that's what twos represent. And so those two swords, I think, are very important. Let's lay the rest of the cards to see what the cards have to say. Well, there's justice. So for some of you, this may be a legal issue. Now, I have seen the Queen of Swords show up when she is a lawyer and or a counselor or a mediator. Sometimes I've even seen her show up if it's a judge. So for some of you, I do feel that this is a legal issue that has come up or will be coming up. Make no mistake, Sagittarius rules the law, both secular and karmic. Going back through the sign of Scorpio, this is going to be a sexual component to it. So this is going to be sex and money. It's going to be marriage and the mortgage, or it's going to be family and property. Okay. Other people's money. So I do sense for some of you, this is definitely a legal issue here. And you're trying to either control the amount of information that's coming out, or you've got somebody in there fighting you who may in effect be silencing those people who are opposed to you. The Knight of Cups. Well, I feel there's somebody who's spinning fantastical tales. Hold on one second. There's the Seven of Swords. There's the Page of Wands. There's the Three of Cups. I will be showing you these. Here are the Eight of Pentacles. Wow. The Knight of Wands. there's the King of Swords. I'm looking at a couple. And if not, remember I said a sexual component. Sex and money, marriage and the mortgage, family and property. Right in the center here is this Page of Wands in between these two individuals. Now, I only have the one major arcana card. I have 5 people here. So this could be, again, that this 3 of Cups. Maybe there's 3 children here involved with this couple. I don't know if this is a paternity issue, a custody issue. Let's see what's under the deck. It is the Lovers. Well, well, well. And the plot thickens. Okay, so let me show you the cards. You've already seen the Queen of Swords. There is the Justice card. Okay, can you see that? Remember when I said fantastical tales? There's that Knight of Cups. And the reason why I say fantastical tales, there's this person who's riding this, I don't know, water thing, but in the water there are these, like, there's this hint of a monster there. So it says fantastical tales. 7 of Swords. Now I like this card because the individual has a mask on. I don't know if you can see that. So there's something hidden here. And interestingly enough, the 2 swords that she has here on her dress are the 2 swords being carried, but this time they're pointed downward. And there's 5 swords left there. Sort of like a gate. Okay? And that 7 of Swords is not always the card of nefarious deception. Sometimes we have to do things or say things to kind of, I don't know, buy ourselves time. Does that make any sense? The thing is though, do you want to be cautious about, are you really doing that because it's necessary, or are you doing that to play games with people? That's where the trouble can come in. Here is the Page of Wands. Okay. Here are the 3 of Cups. Now I'm going to show you something about this Page of Wands because I find it to be interesting. There is the 8 of Pentacles. Here is this Knight of Wands, and there's that just looks like a big old blob, doesn't it? Hold on. And then there's the King of Swords. And I find this card to be interesting because he's standing in the snow, yes. Now, I want you to look at this. Because when you put the 2 cards together, it makes a full picture. Okay? And what this tells me is these are 2 people doing 2 different things. Even though they may be a couple, and or they may be energetically or intellectually matched with each other. I would also venture to say that they speak to each other, I think, in a very clear and direct manner. And if I'm taking these 2 cards together, this is telling me that either this female in this particular couple is either not saying, you know, she's kind of keeping mum, or she's keeping check on what is being said. And what I mean by that is this can be the idea that somebody's making lots of promises or doing a lot of talking, but they're not actually doing anything. It's all in the air. Now, but together they are actually doing something. You see, he's over there. There are the baby goslings. Okay, and he's standing over the nest. So what do you do to keep the mom bird from coming over? And geese are mean as hell, coming over and doing some damage. Somebody has to wrangle that bird down. Okay, I'm going to hold this down over here and you go over there and do that. But they have their backs to each other. It's almost as if they're working together, but they're not even aware of the fact that they're working together. And out of this snowy scene, we see these butterflies. So something's being released. Typically, butterflies in astrology represent a psyche, and the psyche is just that, the psyche. So these are about this is about the soul, the immortal soul, and what happens after it dies. How it is transformed. It goes from being trapped to this thing that is free. So the first thing I'm going to say is that the Knight of Chalices and the Knight of Wands, that's two knights, two different types of communication styles, two different messages, but typically two knights will say that there's a slight concern in some new kind of relationship and or partnership. Okay? The Page of Wands, I think, is what's central to this. And that looks like a big old blob too. But look, there's the figure of the man, somebody who's caught up in something. You see him? He goes from a page to being a knight. And again, there's the figure right there. He's caught up. Okay. It's the same tree, but instead of one energetic cord wrapping him up, now he's got two. So in a way, it's kind of like somebody might be being pulled in two different directions. Wow, that's very interesting. This Justice card to me, particularly with the spiral in the center, this is a really interesting card. What we see centrally is the hand grasping for the knife, yeah, or the sword, okay. But then we see this idea of the Ouroboros, the snake. But instead of usually biting its tail, which is what you see, that gives you that infinity symbol, we see that the finger is being bitten by the snake. Okay? But at the same time, that knife is cutting through that snake. So it's kind of like it's the two different sides of justice. Okay? And it is saying, in one respect, that there's going to be pain on both sides, the double-edged sword. But that in order to get through this, that's what's going to have to happen. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys. Whatsoever. Now we know that knights typically represent messages and news. So that's why I said this is fantastical tales. But I feel that this Justice card is the idea that one person has got these fantastic ideas and the other person is like, that shit, all you're doing is talking. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it kind of hurts that individual that you say that to him, but at the same time, it hurts you, the fact that all they're doing is telling fantastical tales. Does that make any sense? Even though the people are matched. So this tells me that there's something else happening here under the surface. And it's getting to the idea of whatever it is. The Lover's card speaks to the idea that if you can come together, this can really be something fun. Look at them dancing. There's starlight being swept away. So I kind of feel that both people have this romantic, there's this huge romantic possibility between the two people. But something is happening where things are just not, they're not on, not equal footing. They're not on, I don't even sense, it may be a timing issue. it's something else that's not coming together for them. Okay. And I think that this queen here, uh, being all back on this side, is um, rather no nonsense, knows exactly what she wants, has said that's what she wants. She's not going to be for all of this foolish, fantastical talking without backing something up. You see, she's tending that garden. And I find to be the most interesting thing is this is the card of lightness in all of these cards. If you'll look, this scene is rather dark, so to speak. But there is that card of lightness. See the sun there shining? And she is tending her garden. She is planting those seeds. And she's just continuing to do whatever it is that she's doing. But in a weird way, it's kind of like they're helping each other out. I can't quite figure that part out. Over here, this King of Swords is these fantastical tales. He's on this great journey. He's riding this high. Maybe there is something to celebrate. Maybe there is something to feel good about. But now there's something that needs to be released. These two baby goslings here. So this could also be, like I said, about children in some respect. Maybe one of the kids is about to fly the nest, what have you. Maybe this is the idea that two of the children are going to go stay with one of the parents, and he's got to let that go, so to speak, and transform that situation. Because right now with the snow here, it kind of speaks to the idea that things are kind of frozen. But at the same time, there's this idea of, we can see one of the baby birds there, goslings, like opening its mouth maybe to eat one of these. I don't exactly know what this means. So what I'm going to do now is go to the first I want to, where's my phone? First I want to check to see what the only things I can look at are the Seven of Wands, the Three of Cups, and the Eight of Pentacles as they relate to this Justice card. Here I have 5 people. And if there are not 5 people here, what we're dealing with is something trying to form, something trying to happen. But there is concern, I think, on both sides. Neither party is willing to give. But there's this spark in between them. Again, that's some message coming in. And I think the message that has come in is one that we're not certain what it really means. Okay? So let's go look at this and see what it's crazy. Uh-oh. Wrong thing. What this could possibly, I keep doing that. What this could possibly mean, if anything. It may not tell us anything, right? So let's take a look at the Seven of Swords next to the Justice card. You know, that seems like it should be clear cut in what it's saying, but the tarot are not always so clear cut, as you well know. It tells me nothing. I'm going to look at that. I just think this could be some kind of disagreements and something being kind of played close to the vest in one respect. But the appearance of it, and this is working on both sides, the appearance of it is kind of sketchy, if that makes any sense, from both sides. I don't know if that does make any sense. Let's see, Three of Cups. If there's any nothing about the Three of Cups. And now the only other card I can look at is the Eight of Pentacles. Wow, isn't that something? Let's see here. I don't think it's going to tell me anything either. In fact, it does not. Now, next to Three Swords cards, It is a warning not to be careless with money and finances at this time. Be wary of all that you do in regards to financial matters. Sex and money, marriage and the mortgage, family and property. Wow. Queen of Swords. It says it is time to rein in your demons. You no longer have the excuse of inexperience, ignorance, or even fear. Use your immense intelligence and love of truth to conquer what plagues you. When you do, you will be able to access matters of the heart with cool mental clarity and grace. Well, isn't that something? The Justice card. This card is a reminder that justice is coming. You can only get away with unscrupulous behavior for so long. Eventually, your motives will be found out, and there will be swift retribution to follow. But do not fear being held accountable for your actions is how... But do not fear. Being held accountable for your actions is how balance will be restored to the universe. It is time to give back. Now, I don't know what that's saying. The Knight of Cups. Unfettered emotion is a powerful thing. Knowing no barriers, no painful ends, it marauds on endlessly, deaf to diminishing voices. Cavalier devotion to matters of the heart can often lead to a swift dethroning. But at the apogee of your quixotic journey, have no fear of the imminent plunge. Mount your furiously swirling emotions and ride them to the end. So what this is saying is that, remember I said those fantastical tales, it's all of this stuff swirling in the air. There's pain in that because it's fickle. It's not real. It's not solid. It's not dependable. It's not reliable. But yet, remember I said, it's absolutely necessary in order to get here. But there's something here that's not working properly. The Seven of Swords. Sometimes it is best to cut your losses. Words may remain unspoken, but the feelings that drive them will not be dispelled. Eventually, your true thoughts will become clear, and you don't necessarily need to be around when this takes place. This will isolate you, and you may spend many icy evenings in the wilderness enduring a bleak existence. Ask yourself if cutting ties is worth this lonely lifestyle. You have a right to speak your mind. When you are forthcoming and strong, you will never need to cloak your true feelings. And I think that deals with him. I think she's saying she doesn't want to hear any more of those fantastical tales. Okay? I just don't want to hear it. It's not, isn't that funny? Okay, Page of Wands. It says you have been struck with some novel or wonderful idea and you have the native, unfettered enthusiasm of a child to catalyze it. Take risk like you've never been hurt. Believe wholeheartedly in something. Your divine vibrancy will bring vision to life. Your courage and passion will see it to completion. And that's what this is. That's what that is. That's what that card's telling me. And I think this individual might be trying to determine if they're ready to come along. Okay. 3 of Cups. It is a rare and wonderful thing to work together in unison. So much can be achieved when contrasting personalities coalesce to form a common purpose. Establish empathy. Communicate your needs and desires with trusting candor. Seek in turn to meet the needs of others. Do not dwell in differences. All people crave love and acceptance, even if it is expressed in a million different ways. Tune yourself to these quiet voices and see if you can address some of these common crying needs. Now that's an interesting meaning for that card. Eight of Pentacles, the Rise of Pentacles. After the first few harrowing weeks, when a project is still touch and go, it is a real pleasure to see measurable success blooming before your eyes. Take delight in what you have achieved. Steadily cultivate what you have already established so it continues to grow in meaningful ways. Pay attention to detail. Excuse me. Fortune has little influence at this point. Rather, your dedication and finesse will guarantee the success of your undertaking. So something is definitely changing here. Most definitely so. And this could be in any, I don't know, sphere. There's a legal issue here for sure. Overriding this, both secular and karmic. This speaks to a surge of confidence and energy, this Knight of Wands. The fire catching from the spark of the page. There it is. But do not depend on the initial fervent swell to see you through to the end. Ultimately, a disciplined strategy will pay greater dividends than a short-lived burst of enthusiasm. Focus on the vision at hand and ask yourself if you are being passionate or merely brash. Remember, I said that. And I just have a feeling that the energy is that this is the brash person, because he's making all of these promises. You know, he's riding high on feeling, and he's making all of these promises. And you just like, I don't know. It's kind of funny. Let's look at this King of Swords here. It takes a great man not just to fight evil, but to subsume it, divert it, and use it for good. Such an immense task calls for impeccable character and keen clarity of purpose. Realism and ingenuity are your greatest weapons when faced with a mighty foe. But do not let good sense to become clouded with emotions. There it is. Face the facts with cold stoicism and find the best way to proceed. The answer may be simpler than you think. Right. I think he's confusing things in some way. And that's why you're like, no. Okay, let's look at the Lovers here, okay? And that's also a Mercury card. Head or heart. This suggests a potent time to begin a new relationship, break down barriers, let people get to know the real you, and welcome their energy in your life. Revel in sexuality and connection. Let yourself be influenced by one person. This is a card that celebrates individualism. Delight in integration without dimming your own beautiful gleam. And I think that's what the whole thing is. I think someone is kind of talking a good game, but they have this fear or this idea that if this merger happens, whatever this merger may be, that they're going to lose something, right? Or maybe lose themselves. And so instead what they're doing is they're talking a lot about sex and having fun and the possibility of things, but they haven't done anything about it, right? Dawdling. That's what my friend Ann says. They're dawdling. This is about dawdling. Now, this warning about finances, we are going to have the Mercury in retrograde across Sagittarius, and Christmas, I think, is going to be very, very interesting. Don't forget we have those tariffs and the trade war happening. And mostly everything that we buy now in the States is brought in from overseas. Sagittarius rules the internet, imports, exports. It rules the law, legality. So this, we're looking at perhaps bills, immigration, trade laws. We're looking at travel. It rules foreigners, foreign people. Mercury rules travel, commerce, sales, negotiations, communications. So this is going to be a very, very, very interesting next couple of months here. What I'm keeping my eye on Amazon and the new HQ2 that they've just done. Okay, that's what I'm watching. And if you think about it, Amazon, that's where a lot of people do their shopping for the holidays, and they do it over on the internet. So we shall see how that works. I want to take a look at the Seven of Swords. There it is. There it is. I think these two people know full well that there is a connection between the two of them. I don't want to say this queen has given up, but she obviously knows that she should be investing her time doing something else. Okay? And that may be seem a bit shady for this character over here. Why? Because he's probably used to people or females giving him that kind of attention. And you like, no. I've got other things I've got to be working on. And we see that he's actually running away from that. Right? Remember I said it's like he's afraid he's going to lose something. What I want to look at is this Knight of Cups. What is this person, because it reads like it's all surface energy. It's surface. And what I'm not saying, I'm saying there are lots of messages going back and forth, so to speak, but they are different. They're coming from different places. They are about different things. And it's not as though they are not matched both equally in terms of imagination and passion, desires. Why? Because they show up as the same two elements. So what we want to do is we want to look at what this page, which is right in the center, means. But first I want to look at this Knight of Cups here. Vecchia Signora. Pensiero. And the La Namica. Now, isn't that something? Now, I'm not exactly sure if what is really happening here, maybe you remind the person too much in terms of personality or whatever, maybe of a mom or an older relative, or maybe they are trying to avoid the idea of, that's really how that reads. And so that is why, or maybe that their mom has a role to play in that, and that is why you are showing up as the La Namica for this individual. But this could also be saying that, remember I said family and property, sex, there is a component. Children, there's a component here. So it may not necessarily be about your children that you may have in partnership. It could be the idea of you and your mom having some issues. There's a component here of somebody wanting to go forward, but they are being stopped. And maybe this is the idea that it's actually the mom. If I go through with this, that's going to make an enemy. Or you're not going to be happy, and that's going to, there's contention. Now, there could be a third party here. Maybe the person doesn't want to hear shit from their mom, or the person that, you know, and thus the whole situation, what's happening in the background, are making you inimical to each other. That's why you're separated with your backs to each other. Isn't that funny? I don't think this is about illness or anything else, but I think something's about to change here. I just don't know how or where and when. The Lamante female has shown up. Same sex or heterosexual, whomever's going to take the role of the male and whomever's going to take the role of the female. And they are face to face. Look at this. Okay? But what's on the backside? They're not talking to each other. Now, my question is, are these two separate people? Because look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people here. Are these 5 separate people, or is it the different, what do you call it, aspects of the same 2 people? Well, hold on one second. I'm going to see if, I'm going to pull 3 playing cards here to see what this tells me. That is funny. Definitely more than one person involved. But I think see, she has her back to all of this on this top row. Three cards. Another King of Swords. The 10 of Spades. And the Queen of Coins. And in between the two of them is some kind of sorrow and heartache. And I don't necessarily think it is caused by a third party, but I do think there are other people that are, this says worry and bad news. That's what that 10 of Swords means. It says it represents a blockage or a dead end. It is considered the card of disappointments. It means that something that either you or the other person has been working on can progress no longer unless somebody is prepared to make a change of direction. However, many people are reluctant to do this and will blame themselves or others for their misfortune. The lesson of this card is to step back, pause, reevaluate, Mercury retrograde, and decide where to go from here. Once this is done, a new start can be achieved ultimately and be successful. That's what's overhanging everything. Now, let's pull one angel answer card. Oh, isn't that crazy? Let's see what it says. Take action. Now, I don't know if this is meaning you or if it's meaning this individual that you're obviously dealing with. Right? The time has come to take action. Your angels are waiting for you to take the next step so that they can assist you along the path to your dreams. Do away with procrastination and uncertainty. In your heart, you know what to do, so get going. Whether you're focused upon career, relationships, or some other topic, the fulfillment of your wishes isn't going to just fall into your lap. You must be actively focused on the pursuit of what you want. Well. That's what I have for you. I hope those messages help. Again, if you're interested in a reading, click on the eye. That'll take you right over to the website. Until next time, namaste.